Then what do you say to the interpretation imposed again that when you say to someone here, you are tricking, you are calling them a trickster?
Not at all within our culture. The word tricky, for instance, even in common parlance, especially lately with Model C and all those things, does not necessarily impute trickiness of a trickster necessarily. When somebody says you are tricky, they are saying, well, I don't follow exactly what you are saying. I'm just talking in general terms, Johannesburg or East London or Umtata or wherever else. But fact of the matter is, when you say somebody is tricky, you are not necessarily imputing unbecoming conduct on them. Certainly not within the context of this discussion.
You can even speak of a tricky question.
Yes.
In the exam.
Thank you, Chair. I am expecting that even in the courts of law, counsel who have now become very liberal, we will hear things like, my lord, the question you've put to me is tricky. We are soon going to hear that term being used. But I fully understand what the chairperson has said, and I fully associate myself with him in the notion that he is interpreting. So it says part of the task, you are tricky, part of the task. I am reminded here that, remember, your task is to consider me. Look at what you want from me. Now, any man seated here being told, would you interpret that, ma'am?
Look at me and find that which you want from me.
That would not only be flirtatious, but it would be, I submit, an advance by a woman. And even in the closer culture, it's not something that can necessarily be looked down upon. Perhaps before I drown on these cultural issues, I'm not an expert. This is just me addressing the tribunal from the bottom of my heart. I'm trying my best to be candid in how I understood what was happening here. So part of the task, something I deleted, she then says, will do. In other words, chairperson, at 2055 at page 1169, if we go back to the earlier thing that I said, go halfway now, she still repeats, I will do. We're on the lookout for the 12 rebuffs. Is it 12 or 16?
12.
12. Then I allocate a mark, I say 50%. She expresses herself the way she does at 2057. I'm not going to repeat that. 50%, 1170. And then, poof, at 2110, 1170. Yazba mna xa ndifuna imali uzawundinika. You see, in all this interaction, in all this request that you are making, you must also know that when I want money from you, you will give it to me.
What did you understand this other request or demand or statement to mean?
I understood this statement to be part of bargaining with me within the context of what we were discussing. You know, at a certain level, it's got to do with the fact that yes, I am not surprised that there is that emoji there where there is a monkey closing eyes, but she did express herself the way she did. And I understood her to be saying, well, let's be transactional a bit. You want pictures, I want money from you. I don't want to sound unfair towards the complainant and say she's a money monger. I want to use this within the context of flirtation and nothing beyond that level. I don't want to accuse her of being a money monger. It is for that reason when I say, life is not about money, she says, I know, or ndia posisa, she then says truth. So I don't want to read much into that beyond saying there was flirtation, and this hardly constitutes a rebuff.
Well, the complainant on this point, and I will take the tribunal, says she knew that by mentioning this, a man would run away. So it's a no, it's a rebuff. It's to make sure that you walk away from.
That's too presumptuous.
She says so.
Yes, I'm saying it's presumptuous for one to believe that. So sorry, I'm using my hands as if I'm pointing at somebody. So sorry for that, chairperson. I don't want to necessarily agree with that when somebody says, if you want money, then you must know you will give it to me. I don't necessarily see that as a rebuff. I just see that as being transactional, as part of the flirtation.
Okay.
For that matter, persons who flirt or persons who end up in a romantic relationship will do each other favors. I'm just talking favors purely at the level of, I need this and that. Could you please, do you have this sum of money, 20 rand? I want to buy sugar or whatever else. So, speaking for myself, I never understood it to be a rebuff. I say it is, in fact, not a rebuff. I also don't want to impute unbecoming conduct on her part as if she is a money monger. I mention this purely at the level of us playing. Remember, flirtation is playing. It has got this jovial mood about things. It has got idioms. It has got words that must be explained by whoever is uttering them, as we will see as we move along. That is my answer to the question whether that constituted a rebuff. I never understood the expert to have been saying it was a rebuff. I understood her to be saying it could be seen that way. I understand also what the complainant said, which is that, well, I knew if I mention money, he's going to run away, but it's not a rebuff. Not all men will run away anyway. I'm not claiming expertise on this, but I'm just using my logic and common sense.
You fly along.
Thank you. Chairperson, then we have this earth-shattering statement. So be it. Grant her that. 1170. Truth. Life is not about money. And then I say, hey, it's taking a bit longer. Maybe you are still taking some photos, which I deleted, but which she uplifted. But she is laughing, and she has got this emoji that I have explained earlier on. Well, I said, well, I don't know. And then 35%, ayini sundiphatha. This is where I say, also, this is not a rebuff. I'm still using it in the context of what I said earlier on, which is that, come on, don't cheat me. Don't cheat on me. When somebody says sundiphatha, it means don't cheat on me. But once again, if you look at the
Before
context,
you are misunderstood. The word cheating in English and Western.
yeah, it can be. It can be.
Could you please explain what? Yeah.
Ayini sundiphatha, don't be tricky. Maybe I could use that. Sundiphatha. I don't know whether to say don't pull wool over my face or something like that, but it relates to me allocating a 35%. In this interaction, which is flirtatious, I'm granting you 35%, you are left with 65%, and so on and so forth. But it's not a rebuff. We are at page 1171, sorry, Chairperson. Ayini sundiphatha, and there I say,
JP, can I ask you again? I know I've been asking you a bit slow. Mention the time so that.
Thank you, sorry for moving fast. Chairperson, we're at page 1171. Ayini laughingly sundiphatha. Hey bana, or hey chini madod, or something like hey ake. Those are all terms that we could use as closer speaking persons.
Can I hear maybe the for the benefit of everyone, the interpreter? Tell us.
You want a different one, Council?
No, I want the one from an expert, not him.
Ayini falls under the list of exclamations. Yeah, okay. Chini, Haibo, you. There's quite a few.
Meaning?
They all express a sense of excitement over whatever you've heard, or a bit of shock mixed with a bit of excitement in between. It's never really on the negative. It's one that might be a bit heavier if someone has passed on and you receive the news to say so and so had passed on, then you will hear them saying, yeah, okay. That's now a sense of grief that was unexpected. That is something that was not expected. That's how I would separate it from excitement and as well as receiver of bad news. I hope I'm making sense, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Council. I won't distance myself from the articulation by the interpreter. Save to simply say hyena is plural, aye, and terminologically, it doesn't mean no. It's not a rebuff, as has been articulated by the interpreter. It's as if you are addressing many people when you say hyena. Then unamaqhinga and